After financially saying the word she had hidden for so long, the road behind them is quiet, but nothing inside Dennis is calm. She had carried his feeling from the beginning, protected its secret that belongs to God to her. Now the secret is outside her heart, and Erask's fear is clearly for a new second. For says nothing, Dennis watched his faces and searching for hope, but Erask looked more surprised than happy. He cares about her deeply, but he cares in his eyes is not the answer she wants. Erask take a slow breath and tells her that she is one of the most important people in his life. He says he shall beside him when he had no family, no money, and no reasons to believe anything good clues happen. He will never forget that Danny is listening, but she already understands where his words are going. Eras gently tells her that he does not want to lie to her or give her place false hope. His hurts and changed since he came to boredoms. He may not fully understand his feelings yet, but he knows they are connected to Lila. Denise tries to keep her face control. She even gives a small smile and says she expects these answers. However, the trees in the eyes show the trust. She tells Arask that she did not confess because she expected him immediately love her back. She confessed because Toyman has turned her feeling into a weapon. She was tired of allowing another person to control her. Arask became angry while he hears Toyman name. Dennis explained that Toyman found letters she had written and threatening to show it Arask unless to show his demand. Arask Arask wanted to direct to Toyman, but she Dennis stopped him. She does not need another fight carried about in her own name. Toyman already attacked Arask as the fashion event and at other violent silence Arask dangers. Dennis wanted to handle the matters herself. She asked Arask to respect that decisions. This important can show importance growth is shown both characters. Dennis is no longer only the girls who quality loves Eras, and Eras is beginning to learn that protecting people does not always mean fighting for them. Sometimes protecting some means listening and stepping back. Unknown to them, Toyman is standing near the dark entrance of the marina. He followed Dennis because he wanted to see what happened after the confession. He expected Aras to embarrass her or perhaps accept her feeling and destroy his fake relationship with Lala. Instead, he hears Dennis speak honesty and sees Aras treat with her respect. This makes Toyman uncomfortable because it reminds him of how cruelly he used her. Secretly, he tells himself that Dennis discovers it because she kept interfering in his life. Yet the excuse no longer sounds convincing. He remembers the dinner where he forced her to sit with him, and for the first time, he sees the situation for his side. When she was there because she wanted him, she was trapped. Toyman feels shame, but shame quickly becomes anger because he had done how to admit he was wrong. When Dennis leaves, when she him as a shadow, when she does not look shocked, a part of the expected him to follow time and ask whether she is satisfying now. That Arask know everything. Dennis answers that she is free now, and that is more important. That Arask replies. Toyman tries to laugh and asks it. She is pretending not to be broken. Dennis does not deny the pain. She tells him that begins rejecting her. She begins control hurt more. Then he takes her petals from his hand, tears slowly, and lets the pieces fall near in feet. She tells him that the no longer own any parts of the story. Toyman watch her walk away. She wants to call her back, but pride keeps him silent. This can become the first clear sign that Toyman's feelings for Dennis are changing. Until now, he enjoyed provoking her because she was one of the few people who did not fear his family name. After losing control over her, he realizes he does not want her to disappear from his life. The problem is that Toyman has never learned how to build a relationship without using power. He copies Hakan's behavior even while claiming to hate him. His future conflict will not only to build about Eras or hidden identity, it will also be about whether he can stop becoming the kind of man Hakan tried him to be. While these emotional problems grow, Hakan is preparing for a much larger battle. The videos of Toyman attacking Eras has spread quickly. People are not only discussing the violence, they are questioning why the Akaya family allowed a young man to be beaten during a charity event for children without families. The cruel difference between the purpose of the evidence and the attack has made the scandal worse. Khan's business partner begins calling early in the morning. Some want the family to make a family public apology. Others fears that report will examine the family foundations and its financial records. Hakan does not care about Toyman behavior as much as they care about losing control of the public story. He gathers Sabnam's Laila, Toyman and his advisors in the large rooms. A public reaction expert explained that the family must appear united with Arask. The best solution is a record interview in the villa. Hakan will apologize for Toyman actions. Arask will say the conflict has ended, and Lala Sit will beside him to spot the image of peace. Toyman refuses immediately. He says we'll never apologize to Arask. Hakan responds by reminding him that the attack could become a criminal case. If Arask files a complaint, Toyman may face serious consequences. Toyman says he does not care, but Sepnum clearly does. She asks him to agree for the sake of the family. Toyman looks toward Lala and accuses her of bringing Arask into their home and turning everyone against him. Lala answering that created his scandal with all fist. Hassan ends argument by saying Toyman will do what he is told. His tone is cold enough to silence that room. Erask has already agreed to the interview, but his reasons has nothing to do with helping the Akayas. He sees the investigations on the first opens door Hakan has given him. Until now, Arask has entered the villa secretly, followed people searching for clue and escape before being caught. This time the family itself it becomes he through the main entrance. There will be Cameras, workers, light, and many unfamiliar faces moving through the house. Security will be forced on controlling the press rather than watching every hallway. Arask believe he may never receive a better chance to search for evidence about Demir. Metin spotted the idea, but he was asked not to become careless. Hakan's no Arask is searching for his brothers, and investigations from Hakan is never simply an invitation. It may be trap designed to discover how much Arask knows. Meeting suggests placing a small intending device inside Arask jacket so they can record private conversation. Arask refuses at first because getting caught with such a device would allow Hakan to destroy the reputations. Mert Hakan to destroy Mettens then offered a safer plan. He will join the technical workers here to set up the interview from inside the production team. He can watch the security camera and create small distractions. When Arask needs to move, Arask worries that Martin is taking too much risk, but Martin reminds him that the search for Tamer has never belongs to Arask alone. They grow up together, protect each other, and survive by sharing every danger. Merit will not remain outside while Eral walks into the center of Hakan world. Before going to the villa, Arask visits Sehrat as the hospital's Sehrat is still weak after the accident and the attempts on his life. The doctors have kept him under close care, but Arask no longer trusts the hospital security. Hakan already sent someone to silence Sehrat once there is no reason to believe he will stop. Arask entered the room and seen Sehrat laying still. The machines beside the bed create a steady sound, but the room feels strategy empty. Arask speak even though the does not know whether Sarat can hear him. He can tell Sarat now saved him from one reason. Sarat knows what happens to Demir. Arask say he is trying to receiving half trust from people who came. They are protecting him. If Sarat wakes up, he must tell the complete story. Arask turned to leave, but Sarat figure move at first. Ask think is an uncontrolled reaction. The Sarat trap the side of the bed 3 times weight and trap twist more. Arask look back. Sarat does it against his eyes remains closed, but the movement is deliberate. Arask remember a simple number game used in the children's home where he had Martins grew up. 3 taps followed by 2 means that someone by 2 means that was listening. Kara studies the room and noticed a fresh flower agreements near the window. The flower had no card, but the note during his earliest visitors. Hidden microphone. Arask does not react. He walks back to the bed, begins speaking as though he had learned nothing. He tells Sehrat boredom after the interview while taking his security removes the microphone and drops it into a glass of water. The single dial Sehrat slowly open his eyes. Sehrat cannot speak loudly and every word causes pain, but he means to give Aras as warning. He says the trust is not whereas Aras has been looking. Hakan never trusted official files because documents can be stolen. He kept the more dangerous information Inside the Akaya house itself, hidden behind something nobody would think to move, Arask risk what the object is. But Sahrat breathing become difficult. He whispers no word. Portrait Arask immediately think of the large family painting inside the villa. There are many portraits in the halls, introducing one of Hakan and Samban painted. The children were young. Sahrat Grip Arask right and does not prove only who Damer is. It proves why Arask and Damer was separated. Before he can say more, footsteps approach the room. Arask steps away from the bed just as nurse enters. The nurse says visiting time is over. Her face seems normal, but Arask notices she is wearing a different name budget for the one show on the duty board. Outside, he does not change her. Instead, he leaves. He calls Martin from the server. He tells Martin of security arrange new protections for Sahrat. They cannot involve local office who may be connected to Hakan. Martin contact Mustafa, believing Mustafa may know one or two honest people who can guard the room without attraction attention. At the same time, Lala is preparing for the interview, but their mind is not on the camera. She had not heard about Danny's confession directly, yet she can feel that something has changed. Araskis answer her message with short replies. Dennis is involving her. Toyman's look strategy, satisfy and suspect at the same time. Lala understands enough to know that a secret has moved toward them. She finds Dennis near the market and asks what happens. Dennis first tries to avoid the conversation, but Lala does not allow her to escape. She tells Dennis that she would rather hear an uncomfortable trust that lives beside another hidden story. Dennis finally explains everything: the letters Toyman read, the dinner, the confessions, and Eras answers. Lala is silent. Dennis says she is sorry, even though she knows feelings are not a crime. Lala tells her not to apologize for loving someone. She admits that she is hurt. Dennis keeps the trust from her, but she also understands why their friendship has become complicated because Eras stand between many parts of their lives. Dennis asks whether Lala and Arask are still only pretending to be together. Lala cannot answer immediately. They all relay gives Dennis her answers. Lala says the plan may have started as a game, but her feelings are not longer false. Dennis nods and says Arask feel the same. She does not say this with anger. She says it because she wants to uncontainedly to bed. She wants Lala that Hakan will use every emotion as a weakness. If he understands that Aras truly loves Lala, he will thread Aras through her. If Toyman understands it, he may become even more dangerous. Lala thanks Dennis for telling her the trust. Their friendship does not suddenly return to normal, but the scenes give both young women dignity instead of turning them into simple enemies fighting over a boy. The story can show them choosing honesty over jealousy. When Lala returns to the villa, she sees Sabnam standing in front of the old family portrait in a upstairs corridors. The point shows Hakan staying in a dark chair, Sabnam standing beside When Lala returns to the villa, she sees Sabnam standing in front of the old family portrait in the upstairs corridors. The paintings show Hakan sitting in a dark chair, Sabnam standing beside him, and Leila and Toyman pointed in front. Toyman looks about 6 years old in the image. Leila notices something she has never questions before. Toyman's hand is hidden behind Sabnam's dress almost as though the painters could not complete it. Sabnam realized Leila is studying the portrait and quick asks why she is there. Leila, she says, is looking for a quiet place before the interview. She then casually asks when the painting was made. Sabnam answers too quickly, say is when created during a family holidays. Leila points out that the artist's signatures belong to a painters who work mainly in Istanbul, not boredom. Sabnam becomes tense and tells her daughters to stop searching for meanings in ordinary things. Leila asks why everyone in the family becomes afraid whenever the past is mentioned. Sabnam says the past is dangerous because young people believe trust always creates freedom. Sometimes trust destroys people who had no part in the original crime. Leila asks whether she means Toyman. Sabnam looks at the portrait again but does not answer. This small conversation can make Leila realize that Sehrat's portrait clue may be more important than ask. Knows she sends Eras a message telling him to pay attention to the painting upstairs, especially Toyman hidden hand. The interview there turns the villa into a control stop. Camera operators carry equipment through the entrance. Assistants place lights around the sitting room. Makeup artist prepares Sabnam. And Leila Hakan walks from person to person, checking every detail. He wants the event to appear natural, but his needs for control make the atmosphere tense. It enters wearing a worker uniform and carrying a box of capable. A cap hides part of this face. He keeps his lead lowered when Hakan passes him. Aras arrives a few minutes later. He wears a clean jacket, but the fading marks from Toyman attack remain visible on his face. Hakan advisors suggest covering the bruises with makeup. Aras refuses. He says the public already when she was happened and hiding the mark would make the apology look dishonest. Hakan dislikes the answers but cannot openly argue. Leila meets Aras near the door for the camera. She takes his hand. The touch is supposed to be part of their public image, yet both feel the trust inside it. Aras quietly asks whether she is all right. Leila says they will take about Dennis later. Aras looks surprised and Leila tells him she already knows. She does not accuse him of anything. She only asks him not to hide difficult matters from her. Aras promises they will speak honestly when the interview ends. Leila then whispers that the portrait is upstairs near Sabnam's private sitting room. Before they can say more, Hakan approaches and welcomes Arask with a smile that contains no warmth. The journalist chosen for the interview is supposed to be friendly to the Akaya family, but she is not a weakness. Hakan except she begins the simple questions about the charity event. Attack Arask Toyman when he attacked Arask Toyman read the apology prepared for him. His voice is flat and nobody believed the words. The journalist asked whether he regret the violence or any regret. That is what recorded. Hakan tries to interrupt it, but the journalist reminded him that the purpose of the interview is to answer public questions. Toyman looked directly at Aras and said he regrets allow Aras to provoke him. This is not an apology. Aras could respond angrily, but he remains calm. He says the Toyman opinion does not matter as much as his actions. He does not want revenge, but he also will not pretend the attack was kept acceptable. Lela spots him, saying violence should not be excused because the persons responsible belong to a powerful family. Hakan's expression changes for half a second. The journalist noticed the tension and asked Lela whether her relationship with Araz has created conflict inside the house. Lela answers that the real conflict existed long before Araz arrived. Araz did not create the family secret, he only made it harder to ignore them. The interview is now moving away from Hakan plans. He tries to guide it back toward charity work, but the journalist asks Asked about his childhood, she says many viewers connect with him because he grew up without his parent and is now searching for brothers. Arask realizes Hakans may have approved this question to make him emotional and careless. Instead of giving a dramatic answers, Arask speaks simply. He says people often describe children without families as unlucky, but the greater injustice is how easily society forgets them. He says a child's identity should never become something adults can hide, trade, or rewrite of their own benefits. As these words, Sabnam's hands begins to shake. Troyman noticed Aras continue by saying he came to boredom because he believes his brother survived. He does not accuse anyone directly, but he looks at Hakan while speaking. The room becomes silent. The journalist asks whether he thinks the Akaya family knows something about his brother. Hakan answers before Aras can speak. He says the family has already suffered because of Aras' imaginations and refuses to take part in another public accusations. Aras calmly says he did not accuse them, he only said he is looking for the trust. Hakan's defensive reactions make him look guilty without Aras needing to say more. Mertens watches the interview from behind the lighting equipment through his phone. He has accused the villa internal security system, but several upstairs cameras are disconnected from the main network. That means Hakan keeps part of the house under a separate system. Metin creates a small power problem by overloading one of the lightning creases. The sitting room goes dark for several seconds. Assistants begins checking capable and Hakan angrily demands that the interview continue as soon as possible. Aras uses the confusions to leave the room, pretending he is going to the bathroom. Laila follow a minute later. Metin restores part of the power but keeps the upstairs camera system offline. Arask reaches the portrait and studies it. The frame is large and heavy. He finds nothing unusual. Lala joins him and point toward Toyman's hidden hands. Arask touches that part of the canvas and feels something hard behind it. They carefully lift the frame from one side. A small metal plate is fixed to the wall behind the painting. This is no visible handle, only a narrow opening shaped like a key slot. Lala remembered that Sabnams always wear an old silver important family events. The necklace has a long, thin pendant that may fit the opening. Arask does not want Lala to steal from her mothers, but Lala says they do not need to steal it permanently. They only need it for a few minutes. She returns downstairs and finds Sabnams arguing quietly with Hakan. Lala pretends the chaps of dress has broken and asks for mother for help in the dressing room while Sabnam fixes it. Lala says the necklace does not match. the outfit thus and suggested another's one. Sabnam refuses to remove it. Lala then understands the depend is truly important. She changes her plan. Instead of taking the necklace, she photographs it closely. When Sabnam returns away, she needs the images to Martens, who studies the shape and searches the equipment box for a narrow tool that could copy it. He bends a small piece of metal into the same form and gives it to Aras through the service hallway. The copied key opens the plate, but there is no safe behind it. Instead, the clock releases a hidden section of the wall. The portrait moves slightly forward, revealing a space no larger than a closet. Aras and Leila enters. Inside, they find no piles of money, weapons, or abortions paper. Hakan has hidden something for more personal. The walls are covered with photographs taken over many years. Some show Aras was a child outside the car's home in Istanbul. Others home show him walking to school, working small jobs, sitting with matons and letters, traveling toward boardrooms. Someone has watches him from most of his life. Aras feels cold as the move from image to image. Hakan did not discover him recently. The family knows where he was. One photograph shows a younger Sapnam sitting inside a car across the road from the children's home. Another shows Sahrad giving money to a man Aras recognized as a former employee of the home. The secret is no longer simply that Hakan hid Damer. It appears that Hakan actively moderate Aras and control what information reach him. Lala finds several audio devices stored on a shelf. Each one is marked with a years. Aras play a recording from the years he first began asking questions about his parents. He hears his own childhood voice speaking to a social worker. The social worker tells him that no record exists for a brother named Damir. After the conversation ends and other voices enters the recording, it is Hakan. He tells the worker that Aras must never be allowed to contact the Akaya family. The worker asks what will happen if the boy continues searching. Hakan answers that hope can be controlled by giving a person the wrong clue. Aras stops the recording. His anger becomes almost impossible to contain. For years, he believed the absence of information was caused by lost files and careless institutions. Now he understands that someone deliberately designed his confusions. Every dead end may be have been created, every false witness may have been paid, even the story that Damer died may have been placed in the path at the correct moment. Leila is horrified by her father's voice, but she forces herself to keep searching. She finds a locked wooden case beneath the photograph. The copied key does not open it. Aras wants to break it when the noise may reveal their locations. Lala notices a dead written under the case. It matches Toyman's birthday. She enters the number into a small keypad. The case opens. Inside a child hospital bracelet, a flooded map, and a modern mobile phone. The bracelet has no full name, it carries only the letters DO and emergency number. Arask recognized the essentials immediately. Demer Ostook, however, the date printed on the bracelet is 3 years after the accident that substantially separated the brothers. This proves Demer received medical treatment when living under someone's protection. The map marks several places around Bodrum, but one point is circled near an unused coastal radio situations. The mobile phone has only one contact saved, identified by a single letter S. Arabs believes it stands for Sahrat. Before he can open the message, he phones receive a call. Aras and Lela stares at the screen. The call is coming from the hospital. Aras answers without speaking at first. There is only breathing. Then Sahrat's weak voice says, he knows you are in the room. The line ends at the same moment. The hidden doors closest behind them. The light inside the narrow space turns red. Hakan's voice comes through a speakers above the photograph. He tells Arask that curiosity has always been his greatest weakness. Arask tries to open the door, but the lock no longer responds. Hakan says he could have allowed Aras to leave boredoms, but Aras chooses to enter a war he does not understand. Leila shouts at her father to open the door. Hakan answers that she will be released after Aras agrees to stop searching for Demir. Aras asks what Hakan's plan to do it. He refuses. Hakan says he does not need to harm Aras. He only needs to show the world that Aras entered the villa during a peace interview and attempt to steal private family property. The hidden room has cameras. Khan will edit the footage and present Aras as a criminal who used Lala to enter the house. The public sympathy Aras gained after the attack will disappear. This trap revealed that Khan expected Aras to search the house. He may even have allowed Sarah to give him the portrait clue, believing it would bring Aras into a room filled with carefully selected evidence. Aras began questioning whether everything around them is real. The photographs are likely genuine, but the hospital bracelet and map may have been planted. Hakan wanted to control not only what Aras knows but also the direction of his next move. Lala tells Aras that his voice recording cannot be false because it contains a conversation her fathers never expected anyone else to hear. Aras said that may be exactly why Hakan left it there. A strong lie often contains enough truth to make the rest believable. He studies the hidden phone and notices the device has no dust while the other object appears old. It was placed there recently. The call from Sahrat may not have come from Sahrat at all. Hakan could be using a voice recording or forcing Sahrat to speak. Downstairs, the power returns and the interview team prepare to continue. Hakan tells everyone that Aras and Lala are discussing a private matter. Toyman does not believe him. He saw Lala move upstairs and noticed Hakan checking a small control device. Toyman asks why they are. Hakan tells him to remain silent. These orders had the opposite effect. Toyman follows his father toward the office and overhears Hakan telling a security guard to keep the hidden room locked until Rask agrees to the deal. Toyman is shocked. He knows his parents keeps a secret, but he did not know the portrait concealed an entire civilization's room. He demands an explanation. Khan says the room contained material that could destroy all of them. Toyman asks whether it concerned Ara's brothers. Khan refuses to answer. Toyman asks a more dangerous questions. Does it concern me? Hakan looks at him and says that everything he has done was to protect his son. Toyman replies that Hakan only calls him his son when he wants obedience. The argument grows louder. Sabnam enters and realizes what Hakan has done. He orders him to release Lala. Hakan says Lala chose Aras over her family and must learn the cost. Sabnam tells him that frightening their daughters will not save the family. Hakan answered that Sabnam lost the right to advise him when she allowed Aras' mother to create these problems years ago. Toyman hears the mentions of Aras' mother. He demands the full trust, but Hakan tells him to leave. Toyman refuses for once. His anger is not directed at Aras. He is angry because every person in the room seems to know more about his life than he does. Sapnam asks Toyman to trust her, but he says trust requires honesty. He takes Hakan control device from his desk and runs upstairs. Hakan's order the guard to stop him. Toyman reaches the portrait before them. He does not know the correct code, so he shames the control device again. The metal lock spark appear at the door. Release Aras and Lala step out. Aras immediately prepared to fight, believing Toyman came to stop them. Toyman tells him there is no time, security is coming. He points toward the service staircase and says they must leave. This escape should not suddenly make Aras and Toyman friends. Their relationship remained full of angry, jealousy, and unanswered questions. As their turn ask why Toyman had Toyman, he did it for Lala. Not for him, Lala answers that he also did it because he wants to know what Hakan is hiding. Toyman does not and deny it. The three reach a storage area near the kitchen where Merit are waiting. Martin has disabled his side gate, but several guards are covering the garden. The interview crew remain inside the main sitting room, unaware of the crisis. Aras realizes Hakan cannot create an open scene while journalists are present. He decides not to escape quality. Instead, he returns to the interview with Lala and Toyman. This is dangerous, but it removes Hakan's ability to invent a private story. Martin hides the hospital bracelet and phone inside his equipment bag, therefore falling for a distance. Arask walked back into the sitting room while the cameras are already recording. Hakan is forced to smile. The journalist asks whether everything is fine. Arask they had a small disagreement about the meaning of family privacy. Hakan warns him with his eyes, but Aras continues. He says some families use private to protect love, while others use it to protect line. The journalist asks what he discovered upstairs. Hakan interrupts and says Aras entered a restricted area and misunderstood personal family material. Aras asks whether Hakan wants to make a formal accusation. While the cameras are running, Hakan cannot say yes without explaining what Aras supposedly tried to steal. He also cannot say no without appearing weak. Lala sits beside Aras and says he entered the room with her permissions. She stated clearly that nobody forced or manipulated her. Toyman surprises everyone by saying he opened the room and brought them out. Hakan now faces all three young people together. The image is powerful. The children he tried to divide her, standing on the same side, at least for this moment. Shabnam enters and sits beside Hakan, but her face shows that she is close to breaking. The journalist asks her whether she believes Aras is threat to the family. Shabnam looked at Aras for a long time. She remembered him as a child, even though he does not yet know how often he saw him. She finally Aras is not the person who created the danger, he is the result of decisions made by adults many years ago. Hakan immediately ended the interview claiming Shabnam is unwell. However, the statement has already been recorded. The journalist refuses to delete it. Hakan advisors argues with the production team, but several workers have already saved copies. Hakan knows the story can no longer be fully controlled. After the camera leaves, the villa became a battlefield. Hakan accuses Shabnam of betraying him. Shabnam says his methods are becoming reckless. Looking Lala in the hidden room crossed a line she will not accept. Hakan reminds her that she helped build every lie inside that room. Shabnam says she helped because she believed they were saving a child, not because she wanted to destroy another one's. Arask heard this and asked which child she means. Hakan ordered him out of the house. Arask refuses until Shabnam answers. Toyman stands beside him, demanding the same thing. Shabnam looks at Toyman and begins crying. She says she cannot tell the story while Hakan is present because he will change every world into another's weapons. Hakan grabs her arms, but Toyman pushes him away. This is the first time Toyman openly stands against his father in front of everyone. Hakan is turning. Toyman said that if Hakan touches his mother's again, he will tell the police about the hidden room and the surveillance photographs. Aras, Lala, Martin and Toyman leave the villa together. Dennis is waiting outside because Lala sent has a short message during the escape. When she sees Toyman walking with them, she excuses he has caused another problem. Leila explained that Toyman opened the room. Dennis looked at him with surprise. Toyman says he did not do it. Praise. Dennis answers that doing one right thing does not erase what he did to her. Toyman, he says now, if the closest to has come to a real apology. But Dennis does not accept incomplete words. She tells him that when he is ready to say exactly what he did and why it was wrong, she was listens. Until then, he should not expect forgiveness. Toyman nods. The quiet response shows that something inside him has shifted. The group goes to Matten's small place near the marina to examine the object from the hidden case. The hospital's bracelet is real and old. The printing style machines and medical bracelet used many years earlier. However, the emergency number on it is still active. Martin's call from a second phone. A recorded message says the numbers belong to a private rescue service that stopped operating more than 10 years ago. Rask remembered the flooded map and checked the circles, questrols, radio situation. Toyman recognized the locations. Hakan once took him there when he was a child. He remembered almost nothing about the visit except a narrow room The smell of medicine and a song playing from an old radio. Aras asked what was song it was. Toyman Holmes a few notes. Aras because become still. Their mother used to begin see the name medley when Aras and Demir could not sleep. Aras does not immediately say this because he fears Toyman may think about is trying to force and other connections between them. Dennis noticed Ara's reaction and asked what is wrong. Aran finally explained Toyman has says many pupils could know the song, but this voice lacked confidence. The turn on the mobile phone. Most messages have been deleted, but Martin recovered a fragment from its memory. The messages are between Sehrat and someone identified as S. At first, the excuse S means Sabnams. The conversation discussed medicines, memory problem, and a young person's becoming more curious about his childhood. One message says he says the scar and asks the shape is familiar about and other says keep Aras away until I move the last witness. Toyman believes the messages are about him. Aras is not move the last witness. Toyman believes the messages are about him. Aras is not convenience, the word he could refer or to another person's. Hakan may want to them believe Toyman is damaged, so they stop searching. Elsewhere, Lala points out that the message may also have been placed in the room as part of the Hakan trap. They need proof that exists outside Hakan control. Metin finds one useful detail. A message from 6 months earlier contained a payment in confirmations linked to the closed rescue service. The money went to a storage company near the old coastal radio stations. The until is still begin retains under the same Musfar Tasper. Everyone turns toward Arask because Musfa has helped them before and seems to be one of the few adults they could trust. Arask refuses to believe Mustafa is secretly working for Hakan. Martin says the name may have been used without permissions. Toyman argued that trust should not prevent investigations. Aras almost resent angrily, then remember how often loyalty he has blindly pupils in the Akaya family. He agrees they must speak to Musfar directly. Musfar does not deny knowing that about the storage until when Aras show him the payment record. He sits down heavily. He says he's wanted to tell Aras the trust many times, but he was afraid the information would send him to the dangers. Before he was ready, Rask answers that everyone uses red lines as an excuse. He asks Mustafa whether he knows Demir survived. Mustafa says he never saw Demir clearly, but he once transported an injured child from the coast to a private doctor. The child was about the same age as Arask's brother and had a damaged bracelet marked D. O. Sabnam was with him. She begged Mustafa not to ask questions. Later, Hakan paid him to forget the journey. Mustafa kept the storage until because Sabnam secretly gave him a box and told him it should be opened only when Arask and others boy were old enough to choose their own lives. Aras asked why Mustafa never opened the box himself. Mustafa says Sabnam seals it with two separate locks, one key given to someone watching Aras, the other remained inside the Akaya family. Mustafa believes he copied Metal's key from the portrait may open only one side. The second key could be connected to Toyman's old belongings. Toyman remembers a metal species attached to a toy boat he owned a child. Semnam always stopped him from removing it. The boat is still in his room. Returning to the villa could be dangerous, but Toyman say he can enter without suspicion. Hakan may be angry, yet he cannot keep his own son outside forever. Dennis tells Toyman that Hakan will expect him to come back and may search him. Toyman answers that he has spent his whole life learning how to hide things from the father. Before Toyman leaves, Arask finally tells him that the song he explained that their mother sang it only to him and Damar, and she changed one lines to include their names. Toyman asks Arask to sing the change line. Arask does. The world causes a sudden physical reaction. Is Toyman? His hand begins shaking and his image flashes in his mind. A dark car ran on the window, a woman singing, and a child beside him holding a broken red toy. The memory despairs before he can understand it. Toyman becomes angry and accuses Aras of planting ideas in his head. Aras says he did not accept any reactions. Toyman says every clue seems designed to turn him into Tamer. Yes, he does not know whether the clue comes from trust or from years of manipulation. He is frightening that even a memory may belong to store repeated around him. Dennis tells him that he does not have to decide the identity in one night. The only need to find the box. Toyman returns to the villa and finds Hakan waiting in his room. The toy boat is already on the table. Hakan knows exactly what Toyman came to find. He asks whether Arask sent him. Toyman says he came because he wants the trust. Hakan tells him the trust is simple. Toyman in his sons and Akaya raised him and Arask is trying to steal his life. Toyman asks why our fathers would need hidden rooms, surveillance, photographs, secrets, medical bracelet, and locked boxes to prove something simple. Hakan says family is not created by blood. Toyman agrees, but he adds that a real family also does not fear blood. These answers hit Hakan deeply. For a moment. He appears less like a powerful businessman and more like a man terrified of losing the person he calls his son. Hakan offers Toyman a choice. He can stay in the villa, forget Aras, and receive everything the Akaya name can give him, or he can take the obey, open the box, and destroy the family that protected him. Toyman asks whether Sabnam knows Hakan is making this offer. Hakan says Sabnam is too emotional to understand but is necessary. Toyman reaches for the toy boat. Hakan does not stop him. The metal pieces is still attached beneath it. Toyman removes it and places it in his pocket. He tells Hakan that if his family can only survive through ignorance, it can already be destroyed. He leaves. Hakan's allow him to go because this is also part of a plan. A tracking device has been placed inside the toy boat. Key Hakan contacts two men and orders them to follow Toyman to the storage until he does not want Aras killed or death would attract too much attention after the public scandals. Instead, the wants the box removed and Sahrat taken from the hospitals before he can speak again. Hakan also calls someone whose identity remains hidden. He says they are going to the situations. You know what to do. The voice on the other side answers that Toyman was must to see what it inside. The suggested Hakan is not the only person protecting the secret. The young group reaches the coastal radio situations. Near sunset, the buildings stand alone above the sea, damaged by years of wind and salt. Old attempts rise from the roof. The storage units are located below the main control room. Mustafa leads them through a rusted gate. He learns them that the place has been empty for years, but Aras noticed fresh tries makes outside. Someone arrived recently. Matisse check are there and find a small cameras hidden near the entrance. He destroy it, but they know their presence is no longer secret. The box is stored behind a wall of used radio equipment. It is smaller than eras expected, made from dark metals with two locks on opposite sides. The copied priority the key open the first toy key open the second. For a moment neither of the moves. Aras places his hand on the light. Toyman places his hand beside it. Their eyes meet. Whatever's inside may contact them as brothers or prove that their lives have been linked through another kind of crime. Arask tell Toyman they can wait if he is not ready. Toyman says is waited without knowing it for most of his life. They open the box together. Inside are two officially identity papers. Sabnam understood that documents could be changed or destroyed. She saved projects that carried personal memory. There is a red toy car broken across the middle. Arask recognizes it immediately and he has Tamer fought over the toy on the morning of the accident. Their fathers broke it by mistake while trying to separate them and promised to repair it later. This is also small pieces of a cloth from the mother courts, a photograph or two child scenes only from behind, and a digital voice recorder. Beneath this object is a sealed letters addressed to Aras and the child who was renamed Aras. Often the letters, the handwriting belongs to Samnam. She explained what after the accident two injured children were brought to the coast. One was Dammer. The other child was witnessed the attack that caused the crash. Both are frightening and both suffered memory problems. Hakan believed the people responsible for the attack would search for the witness to protect the children and protect himself. He changed their information. Sabnam writes that she agreed at first because she thought the dangers would last only a few weeks. However, Hakan later refused to return Demel to Arask. He had become emotionally attached to one child and feared losing him. The letter does not say direct whether child is Toyman. Sabnam writes that she stopped trusting her own memory because Hakan repeatedly moved the Children changed their name and forced everyone to use different stories. She says only the voice recorders can identity them because their mother spoke to the boys on the night before the accident and used a private questions that only them could answer. Arask turns on the recorders. Their mother voice fills the avoidance room. The second is weak but clear enough. She speaks to the Arask first, asking to the promise he will always protect his younger brother. Then he speaks to Damer. She asks, when the sea becomes dark, where does the little bird sleep? A child answers inside the red boat under and brother's coast. The wonders strike Toyman like a blow. He remembers saying them remember a child point on the bedroom walls. He remembered hiding beneath Arask's coat during a storm. He looked at Arask with fear, not happiness. Arask stepped toward him, but Toyman moved back. He says a reading recording can be tough. Khan and Sabnam may have repeated the answers to him when he was young. He refuses to accept as identity simply because everyone accepts an emotional reunion. Before they can listen future, the light in the stations go out. Metan's hair movement above them. Hakan's move men have entered the building. Mustafa tells the young pupils to take the box through the rear tunnels while he delays the intruders. Arask refuses to leave him, but Mustafa says protecting them is the only way he can correct his earlier silence. Dennis noticed a second door behind the storage wall. It opens into an old maintenance passage leading toward the cliff. They carry the box inside as footsteps approach. The tunnel is narrow and partly flooded. Lala and uses her phone light to guide them. Toyman walks behind Dennis, still shaken by the recording. She tells him to focus on getting out. He says she should stay away from his because every person close to the identity becomes a target. Dennis answers that he does not get to make decisions from the anymore. He stayed because she could choose to stay. The sentence matters because it is the opposite of the earlier relationship. Toyman control her through the letters. Now Dennis freely chooses to help him. The changes force him to understand the difference between possessions and care. After the other end of the tunnel, they discover that the exit has been blocked with metal chains. Mary tries to cut them, but the tools are not strong enough. Water begins rising. Waves enter through crack in the rock. Arak searches the wall and finds an old emergency wheel connected to the radio station. Sees gate. It will not turn. Toyman joined him. The two push toward together using all their strength. For a moment, the sense becomes a physical symbol of their relationship. Nothing can escape alone. The wheel finally moves and the gate opens enough for everyone to crawl through onto a narrow path above the waters. Hakan men reach the tunnel before Mustafa can stop them. One catches Lala near the exit and pulls her back. Arak's turn, but Toyman reaches her first. He fights the man, taking a hard blow to the shoulders. Arak helped him and together they free Layla. Another man grab the metal box. Danny see it and strike his hand with a loose piece of wood. The box falls near the edge. It opens and several objects slide toward the sea. Aras catches the voice record. A toy man catches the broken red toy. The letters blow away, but Lala trapped in under her shoes before it disappears over the cliff. Their success comes from everyone protecting a different part of the trust. The group reaches the road where police vehicle suddenly appears. For a second they believe Hakan has arranged their arrest. Instead, the officers are connected to Mustafa. He called them before entering the situation because he accepted Hakan to follow the attacker escape through another path, but the arrival at the office prevent the from taking the evidence. Mustafa is injured but alive. He tells Arask that Hakan power is not unlimited once people stop facing him alone. Back at the villa, Hakan received news that the box was opened. A calm mask finally break. He threw the tracking monitors across the room. Sebnam enters and asks what happened. Hakan says he later has destroyed everything. Sebnam realized Toyman and Arask found the situations instead of panicking. She appears alive, relieved. She says that trust was always going to trust them. Hakan accused for hers for wanting Toyman taken away. Sebnam answers that Toyman is not an object anyone can take it if it damaged. Loving him means allowing him to know where he came from. If he is not damaged, the trust will still free him from fear. Hakan says blood with make. Toyman chooses Arask. Sebnam replies that Hakan lies are the real reasons Toymans may leave at the hospitals and other threat is unfolding. Sehrat has disappeared from his room. The guard arranged by Mustafa was found unconscious in the stairs well as received the news while radio stations. He understood that opened the box that distracted them while someone moved the only living witness. The hidden phone rings again. This time Aras answers on speakers so everyone can hear. Sehrat says he has been taken to an unknown vehicle. He speaks quickly, pretending to talk to the kidnappers while secretly giving clues. He mentions the smell of a fish, a road under construction, and a ferry horn matching identities. Two routes toward the old industrial port. Arask wants to go immediately. Lela says they should involve the police, but Arask fears the kidnappers will kill Sehrat if they seize Officer Toyman says Hakan. Roberts accepts Aras to rush into another trap. Aras answered that Sabran will die if they do nothing. Dennis noticed something unusual in the background of the call. The same song Toyman remembered from the coastal situation is playing inside the vehicles. This means the kidnapping may be connected to the rescue. Servit not directly to Hakan, usual man. Toyman listens closely and heard a woman voice telling the driver to hurry. He recognizes the voice but cannot identify it. A new possibility appears. Someone beside Hakan and Sabnam has been involved since the accident. That person may be the mysterious as Issarat message. Aras and Martin follow the clues toward the industrial spot while Lala, Dennis, and Toyman remain with Mustafa and the evidence. Toyman refuses at first, saying Sarat may know his identity. Arask tell him the kidnappers may be using that desires to control him. He asks Toyman to protect the recorders. Instead, this is a major sign of trust. Aras is placing the most personal evidence has been even found in Toyman hand. Toyman accept without hand. Toyman accept without making a joke or argument. During the drive, Metten asks Arask what he will do it. Toyman is truly demure. Arask says he does not know. He spent years imagining a reunion in which his brothers remember him and wanted to return. He never imagining finding someone who had another same and other family and year of anger toward him. Merton says fighting a person is not the same as honoring these futures. Eras understands that he cannot ask Toyman to stop begins Toyman even if they are brothers. Their relationship must be built from the present rather than forced through childhood memories. The industrial sport appearance empty, but Aras finds the hospital transport vehicles near a warehouse. The doors are open. Inside there is blood on a seat and Sarad broken medical tube. Aras follow the mark into the warehouse. Matens call the police but remain nearby. Aras enters and hears the Sarad Kanaf. Sarad is tied to a chair under a bright light. A figure stands behind him, hidden by darkness. Aras demands his release. The figure steps forward, revealing Nure. Nure involvement changes the directions of the story. She says she did not kidnap Sahrat to kill him, she removed him because Hakan men were coming to the hospitals and the police guard had already been paid to look away. Arask does not trust her. Nure admits she has lied many times, but say Hakan is now trying to erase everyone connected to the accident. She was the mysterious S in several messages, though not all of them. Sahrat connected her because she had access to Hakan's private account. She helped hide payment and move people, believing Hakan would eventually leave Sabnam and build a life with her. Instead, she discovered that Hakan has used her like everyone else. Nure now wants protections in exchange for evidence. Sehrat confirms part of her story. He says Nure looked him before Hakan men arrived, but she still tied him up because he does not trust Aras. Nure gives Aras a memory card containing financial record. The payment shows that Hakan spotted a young man living under another's name outside Bodrum. The payment continued until only 2 months ago. This suggests there may be another person connected to Demmer identity. Toyman may be Demmer the witness or one of two children whose stories were mixed together. The mystery remains open without making the earlier clues meaningless. Nure warns Arask that Hakan knows about the radio recording. He will try to destroy it before they can verify the child voice. Aras called Lala, but she does not answer. The scene returns to Mustafa house, where the power has suddenly failed. Delhi's light and candles and discovered the front doors open. The metal box remains on the table, but Toyman and the recorders are gone. Lala finds Toyman's phone on the floor. A message is written on the screen. Do not follow me, I need to finish this alone. Toyman has gone back to the villa. He carries the recorder in the jacket and the broken red toy in the hand. He believes the only way to learn the trust is to confront Sabnam's the trust is confirmed Nella without Aras, Lala or Hakan's controlling the he enters through the garden and finds Sabnam waiting near the pool. She knows he will come. Toyman places the toy in front of her and asks whether it belonging to him. Sabnam it says belonging to Damar. Toyman asks whether he is Damar. Sabnam begins to answer, but Hakan appears behind them with a gun. Hakan says the questions no longer matters. Toyman in his son because he raised him. Toyman asks whether Hakan caused the original accident. Hakan denied it, saying the crash and was used by people searching for something. Aras father has stolen. He has claimed the surviving children. Sabnam said this is only half and the trust Hakan this is the safe child, but he also saw an opportunity to control a witness and protect his business. The argument revealed that Aras' father had discovered illegal deal connected to Hakan and another powerful partner on the night of an accident. Hakan tried to reach him before the partner man did the crash concurred during the case. Hakan did not plan the death, but afterward he chose securely over justice. Toyman asks Sabnam again whether he is Tamar. She says she believed so when he first woke after the accident. He answers to Damar's name and knew the private song. However, another injured child also answers to the name. After hearing repeatedly, the boy were confused, frightening, and moved between different Dr. Hakan used that confusion to hide the witness. Samnam says Toyman may be Damar, but only a proper test and the full medical record can prove it. Hakan refused every attempt because uncertainty helped him keep control. Hakan ordered Toyman to give him two recorders. Toyman refuses. Hakan raises the gun, but his hands shake. He does not want to shoot the boy. He says Arask will take Toyman away and fill his head with haters. Toyman answers that Arask did not create the haters. Hakan created it by forcing him to live inside questions. Sabnam steps beside them. She tells Hakan that it truly sees Toyman as its son. He must lower the weapon at that moment. Aras arrived with Lala, Dennis and Martin. They traced Toyman through the tracking signals still hidden in the toy key. Aras sees the gun and stops. Hakan tells him to leave. Aras says he will leave only with everyone else. Hakan accuses him of destroying the family. Aras answers that a family built on a stolen identity was already built on a unstable. Stoyman look at Arask and say he does not need rescue. Arask replied that he did not come to rescue him. He came to stand beside him while he make his own choice. Dennis moves slowly towards Toyman. Hakan warns her to stop. She ignores him. She tells Toyman that he once used her secret because believing controlling someone would stop them for living. Hakan is drawing the name, thinking he's now. Toyman understands the comparisons. He gives Dennis the recorders. Hakan turns the gun toward her and Toyman immediately steps in front of her. This action proves how much he has changed. Earlier he used Dennis to hurt Anaz. Now he risks himself to protect her. Sabnam grabs Hakan arm, the gun fires into the air. Everyone frees. Metin rushes toward and forces the weapons from Hakan's hand and Lala calls the police. Hakan does not to run. Hakan do not try to run. He turns to Toyman and realizes that fear has finally lost its power over him. Yet Hakan still has one final card. He tells Aras that the medical record proving their identities were never destroyed. They are held by the partners who ordered the original case. If Hakan is arrested, that person will remove every remaining witness. Aras asks for the name. Hakan smiles and says Aras has been standing near the answers. Sincere's arriving is boredoms. Silence Sincere's approach, but Hakan wearing creates a new mystery. The partners may be someone already trusted by Aras, someone connected to the rescue service, the hospital, or man Mustafa. Past Hakan is taken into custody for threatening the group and holding illegal severance materials, but this influence may follow him to return quickly. Sabnam agrees to give a statement. She also agrees to a legal DNA test for Toyman and Aras. Toyman does not celebrate. He says the result will explain their blood, not decide who he is. The final emotional scene takes place near sunrise. Aras and Toyman sit on the beach with the broken red toy between them. The other remain at the distance. Aras says he remembers being angry when Demar took the toy. He spent years feeling guilty because their final morning together begin with a foil toy man. He says remember a red object in the car but cannot tell whether the memory is truly his. Aras tell him he does not have to remember, he does not have to call him brothers, he does not have to leave the Akaya name. Aras only asks for the chance to know without lies between them. Toyman asks what will happen if the test said they are brothers. Aras said they will learn how to become brothers again. Slowly, Toyman asks what will happen if the test says they are not. Aras looks toward the seas and says they will still find them together because Toyman has now become part of the trust whether he wanted it or not. Toyman gives a small tried laugh. He says Aras always find a way to make people join his impossible plan. Aras answers that Toyman always find a way to complain while helping. Behind them, Dennis watches quietly. Lala stands beside her. This is where still pain between the two young women, but also a new honesty. Dennis tells Lala that Arask needs someone who can remind him he has a future, not only a past. Lala says Dennis also deserves someone who sees her clearly rather than using her feelings. They both look toward Tom and Dennis says he has a long distance to travel before becoming that person. Lala agrees, but she says at least he has finally taken the first honest step. Martin approached Arask with a Nure memory card. He has found one name hidden inside the payment record. The person received money or the same dates. Hakan moved the children after the accident. Aras reads the name and becomes pale. The audience does not see it before he can explain the hidden phone from the portrait rings one final time. Aras answers a young man. A voice says, "Stop calling Toymans your brothers. Demir is speaking to you now." Aras looked at Toyman who heard the voice through the speaker. The callers continue say he has watched Aras search for years but stay away because Ras was never told the real reasons their parent died. He gives Ras a location and tells him to come alone before sunset. Then he says the private wounds from the childhood recording inside the red board under my brother's coat. The call and Toyman stares at the broken toy in his hand. Aras look at the silence phone. One of them may be dumber. Both may have been trained with the same memories, or the new callers may be another victim using the identity Hakan created. The trust is closer than ever, but it has become more dangerous because there is no longer only one person claiming the missing name. The section should close with Hakan sitting inside a police vehicle, and officers ask whether he wants to connect a lawyer. Hakan looks through the window toward the rising sun and says he wants to make one call. The officers give him a phone. Hakan dials our numbers from memory and says they opened the box. Bring the real Demmer home before Arask reaches him. The screen goes dark, leaving the audience with a powerful question. Was Hakan's lying again, or has he the real search only just begun? Daha 17, the boy who carried Damer's name. The new sections will begin on the beach only a few seconds after the unknown callers end the phone call. Arask will remain completely still, holding the silent phone in his hand. If voicemail returns, Toyman will watch him from a few seconds step away, still carrying the broken red toy from inside. Sebnum boy, Nether's boy will box what to say. A stranger has used the private childhood words that to Damer, but those same who have already awakening memories inside Toyman. Arask will feel as if two different trusts are pulling him in opposite directions. One trust is standing beside him, frightening and angry, while the other is hiding behind a phone. Lala will ask what he calls said after the line became unclear. Arask will repeat the final message. The callers wants him to come alone before sunset. Martin will immediately call it a trap. Dennis will look at Toyman and understand that he calls has turns him more than he wants anyone to see. Toyman to give Arask two broken toy and say that he should go meet his real brothers. His word will sound careless, but his face will show that he is already preparing himself to be rejected again. Arask will stop Toyman before he can walk away. He will tell him that nobody has proved anything yet. A voice childhood stands and a hidden meeting place cannot decide who Damer is. Toyman will answer that Arask believed every small clue when it pointed toward him, but the moment another person used the same memory, Arask became careful. Arask will admit it that Toyman is right. He has often allowed Hope to make decisions for him. This time he will not run toward the caller without a plan. He was also not asked Toyman to wait quietly while other people discuss his identity. Arask will invite him help decide what help happen next. Toyman will be surprised because Arask usually treated the search as the private responsibility. After a moment, Toyman will agree, but he will make one condition. No matter who the caller is, Arask must not promise him anything before the check his history. Arask accept their agreement will not make them brothers, but it will make the partners from the first time. The group will return to Musfa house before sunrise, they will replace the broken toy, the voice recorder, Sabnam's letters, Nure memory card, and the hidden phone on a table. Instead of following each clue separately, Matan will suggest building one clear timeline. He will write the note dates on the wall. The accident happened first to injured children were moved between a rescue vehicles, a private doctors, and unknown coastal location. Hakan's later change record paid several people and watched Arask from a distance. Sabnam believed one of the children was damaged, but she became unsure after both boys responded to the same name. Sahrat helped move evidence and later tries to reveal part of the trust. Nure controlled payments but did not even every identity. The hidden calls know the private phrase and has watched Arask. Toyman has memory connected to the song, the red toy, and the coastal situation, and the fact are placed together. Leila noticed something important. There may not be two separate stories. The strangers and Toyman may have been placed inside the same systems. Someone could have deliberately given both boys pieces of damaged childhood so that no witness would never be certain which identity was real. Daniel will ask why anyone would create two possible versions of Tamar. Martin will explain that confusions can be stronger than silence. If one child simply disappeared, pupils could search for him. If two children carried mixed memories, every investigation would end in an argument. Hakan would point to one boy when the needed a destruction and hidden the other when dangers came closer. Stoyman will say that means his strongest memory may have been placed inside him by adults. Daniel will remind him that a false story repeated to a child can shape memory, but it cannot create every physical reaction. His fears of physical smoke, the song, and the red toy still matters. Stoyman answers Hakan's may had know exactly how to create those reactions. He does not want comfort based on guesses. He wants fact. Arask will agree and say the first fact must come from the callers. However, they will control the meeting rather than allowing the strangers to control them. Martin will study the location sent to the hidden phone. It is an old open-air cinema on the edge of Bodrum, closed for many years after a storm damaged the screen. The place has several entrances, broken walls, and a hill behind it. A person could watch the Arask without being seen. Arask will pretend to follow the instructions and go alone through the main gate. Martin will watch from the hill. Leila will remain near the road. Will Mustafa, ready to call for help? Toyman will enter earlier through a deranged path show as an old map. Dennis wants to go with him, but Toyman says the caller may know her face from the villa scandals. Dennis answers that the caller may also know Toyman's face, yet nobody is asking him to remain safe. Their arguments will end when Aras says Dennis can monitor the hidden phone from Mustafa's car. She will track any new signal and warn them if callers tries to move the meeting. It gives her important role without placing everyone in the same danger. Before the meeting, Arask will visit Sehrat as the protected location Nure arranged. After removing him from the hospitals, Sehrat will be weak but able to speak more clearly. Arask will pay the stranger's phone message. Sehrat will face change when he appeared the voice, but he will calm. He does not recognize it. Arask will notice he paused before the answers. He will tell Sahrar that once more than half trust may cost life. Sehrat may finally admit that he once heard the same young man speaking to Hakan. They all used the name Karam at that time. Hakan paid for the education and living costs through several false companions. Sehrat never saw his face because meetings happened behind a screen on through encrypted calls. Hakan called him the second insurance. Asked Will what the first insurance was. Sehrat will look toward Toyman, who he was come into the room without Aras noticing. Sehrat will say the first search for Tamar. Hakan could offer Toyman as the answers. If Toyman identify become impossible to defend, Hakan could produce Karam by keeping two possible brothers alive. Hakan made sure the search never reached the result who ordered the original crime. Toyman will ask Sehrat whether Hakan knew which boy was truly Damar. Sehrat will say Hakan claimed to know, but the behavior showed doubt. He protected Toyman emotionally and protected Karim financially. He feared losing both for different reasons. Sabnam wanted to medical test years ago, but Hakan stopped it. The doctors who treated the boy argued that early testing would not solve the problem because samples had already been mixed during emergency treatment. Arask will find the explanation suspicious. DNA does not depend on memory, and an honest doctor would take new samples. Sehrat will agree. He will name the doctor from the first time. Dr. Salim Good. Salim managed a private child treatment center connected to the Akaya Foundation's. The center closed suddenly after several patient families complained about missing records. Salim's later disappeared from public work, but Hakan continues sending him money. Sehrat believes Salim is the only person who knows how the boy memories became mixed. Lala will search Dr. Salim's name and discovered that almost every public records may have been removed. Only newspaper pages mention are learning centers that used music, photographs, smell, and repeatedly stories to help children recover memories after trauma. At first, treatment was praised. Later, expert questions whether the method recovered memories or created new ones. The centers closed before any formal investigations. Rich court or one old photograph shows Salim standing beside Sabnam as a foundation event. A younger Muspa appears in the background near the rescue vehicles. Lala will realize the adults around them have been connected for long that Animal admitted she will also find an address linked to Salim's wife, but the property is empty. A neighbor says Salim died abroad years ago. Metin doubt is because Hakan payment continue. The death may be another's fault. Record the meeting at the cinema will happen late in the afternoon. Arask will enter through the main gate and walk past rows of broken seats covered in dust. The road screen will move into the wind, producing a low sound like distant thunders. He will place the hidden phone on a seat and wait. At exactly 6, the cinema speakers will suddenly turn on. A young man's voice will tell him to stand in the center and raises both hands. Arask will obey while secretly checking the hill where mutton is hidden. The scholars will say that Arask broke the rule by bringing pupils. Arask will answer that a real brother would understand why he has no longer trust strangers. The voice will begins laughs sadly and say Arask was always the careful only one after dangers arrive before Arask can ask How he knows that figures will appear behind the torn screen. The strangers will be close to Ara's age, perhaps 1 or 2 years older. He will wear simple clothes and carry no visible weapon. His face will not look exactly like Ara's, but there will be small similarities around the eyes and mouth. Arask will feel a shock that he cannot explain. The strangers will introduce himself as Karam. He will say that the name was given to him after the accident, but he remembers another name spoken before it. Arask will ask him to say that name. Karam will refuses. He will accuses Arask of turning Damar into a prize that every unhappy boy I can claim. Arask will reply that he has spent years searching because he believed his brother was alone. Karam will say Damar was never alone. He was watching train move and bomb that Arask has died. When he later discovered Arask was alive, he was told that approaching him would place them both in danger. Toyman will listen from behind the lower wall. Karam will suddenly turn toward his hidden place and calm him by name. He knew Toyman came. He says the Akaya family son should stop moving like a thief and show himself. Toyman stepped into the open. The two young men study each other. Karam shows no surprise. He tells Toyman that Hakan used him as a shield for years. Toyman responds that Hakan also paid for Karam's life, so neither of them should pretend to be free. Karam smiles and says Toyman finally sounds less like Hakan. The comment angers him. Arask stands between them and asks Karam for proof. Karam removes a thin chain from under his shirt. It holds half of a small metal sun. It holds Arask reaches inside the matches half he has carried since childhood. The mother gave one half to each brother when the pieces are placed together. They form a complete shape. Arask will be deeply affected, but Toyman will remain cautious. He will ask where Karam found the necklace. Karam said it found his neck. When he woke up after the accident, Toyman pointed out that any adults can have moved it from one child to another. Karam agrees. He says his necklace proves connection built no identity. He did not call Aras to demand cognitions. He called because Dr. Sarim has returned to Bodrum and plans to destroy the last treatment record. Karam has followed him for weeks. He needs Arask because Salam will not meet him. But the doctors may come out of hiding if he believes Arask has the voice recorder for Sabnam box. Karam wants to use the records. Bates Martin will leave his hiding place after seeing that Karam is not alone. Two people are watching from projections room. He quietly reaches the back stairs and discovers that they are not armed guard but a young man and older man. The woman is filming the meeting is man holding medical equipment. Metals contains them and the woman come. They are helping Karam. Her name is Alif and she grew up in the same treatment center. She remembers Dr. Salam using stories from one child during sessions with another. The older man is a retired laboratory worker named Cam. He helped Karam obtain a private DNA result, but the result was incomplete because they had no verified sample from Arask. Sam says choose family connections to someone in the old Akaya medical archives. Unfortunately, the archives labels were changes, so the result cannot identify which family. Arask will demand a new test immediately. Cam agrees but warns that they need a controlled laboratory. Hakan can influence local clinics. Martin suggests using a university label in another city. Sending our samples through three different rules. Toyman say he will give us samples as well. Karam look at him, ask whether he is ready for an answer that may remove the only identity he knows. Toyman says no answers can remove the years he lived as Toyman. The test will only reveals what adults did before those years. Arask will provide his samples, but the will insists that Lala and Dennis watch the sealing process. He trusts them to notice anything the boy may miss while emotions are high. Before the samples can be collected, a shot will strike the old cinema speakers. Everyone will drop behind the seats. The attack will not come from Hakan. Usual men or shooters on a nearby roof will came first and Karam and then at the voice recorder. Aras carries this proves someone wants the possible Daram dead, not merely hidden. Karam will pull Arask behind a concentrate wall. Toyman will help Alif and Sam reach the drain exit. Martin will guide Lala and Mustafa away from the road. When a black vehicle blocks them, Dennis watching the hidden phone will notice a second signal moving around the cinema. She will call Aras and redirect him toward a safe path behind the damaged screen. During the escape, Karam will be hit in the arms, broken stone, and will be refuses to leave him. Toyman will return after helping the others and after Aras pressing clothes against Karam injury from a moment. Jealousy with flash across Toyman faces, but he will control it. He will take the other side and help carry Toyman's despairs before pupils arrive. This event will changes Karam's attitude. He expects Toyman to protect only himself, yet Toyman returns to him. Toyman expected Karam to use Aras, yet Karam placed his own body between Aras and the first shot. None of them will say it aloud, but the attack create a bond based on actions rather than Ungertain's memory. Elif will take them to a small house used by former patients of doctors. Salim consented. The walls are covered with drawings made by children. Many drawings contain the same images. A red boat, a black birds, and a road beside the sea, and a blue doors. Arask will be happens connected to his past. Alif explained that these were not necessary personal memories. Dr. Salim used a common group of pictures during treatment. He believed repeated samples could give frightening children a safe structures for rebuilding memory. Over time, the children began placing those samples inside their own story. This is why the root box but blue door appears in different leaves. The discoveries destroy the value of several earlier clues. It also explains how Toyman and Karim could share images without both being dumber. Karim will say the private phrase about the bird and God did not quote from group therapy. Ask will play the voice recorder and ask Ali whether she heard it at center. Alif stares, listens carefully, then becomes uncomfortable. She remembers Dr. Salim playing tape of a mother speaking of two boys he is using the used recorders during session with several children, asking them to repeat the answers. Salim claimed it helped language recovery if she is corrected. Any child treading in the other that room may know the phrase "Arask fail" as though the strongest proof has collapsed. Karam becomes angry and accused Alif of hiding this fact. She says she did not remember until hearing the full recording. Toyman quietly says this means all three of them may be carrying damaged memories while only one or perhaps none was born with them. Dennis will arrive with Lala and help clean Karam injury. Toyman will watch Dennis speaking gently to the strangers and feel a small return of his old jealousy. This time, instead of making a cruel movement, he will step outside. Dennis follow after. Fighting the bandage, she asks why he left. Toyman admit he felt jealous and did not trust himself to speak kindly. Dennis is surprised by the honesty. Toyman say he is beginning to understand that feeling do not give him the right to punish other people. He then apologized clearly for asking for letters, forcing her to attend the dinners, and using the love for Aras to control her. He does not ask for forgive him. He only asks that discover better. Dennis listens in silence. She tells him the apology matter because it names what he did, but trust will take time. Toyman says he knows these conversations will be quiet and mature, showing real progress without turning one apology into instant romance. Lala will speak privately with Arask. She can see that Karam has Arask admit he wanted the necklace to be enough for 1 second. When the two have joined, he felt like the search has new fact created another doubt. Lala tells him this his needs for uncertainty is natural, but he must be careful not to reduce Karam and Toyman to answers. Both are people harmed by the same adult. Aras says he is afraid of choosing the wrong person and hurting the and others. Leila replies that he does not have to choose yet. He can protect both without declaring Ether one his brothers. Arask smiles sadly and says Lala always make impossible problems sound simple. She answers that the choice is simple. Even the trust, respect people and do become like Hakan. Their conversation will move toward Dennis' confession. Aras will explain exactly what he said and assure Lala that he did not give Dennis false hope. Lala says she hurts him, but she does not want their relationship to remain hidden behind a fake plan. Aras asks whether she wants to the ended public story. Lala she says want to end the word fake. She tells him that she chose him before she understood how dangerous the choice would become. Arask answered that loving him may bring more dangers, not less. Lala saying loving someone does not mean accepting every reckless decision. If he goes alone to another trap, she will not wait quietly. She will follow, become angry, and possibly save him while complaining hours. Love for the first time that day. Their hands meet, but the sense will remain gentle rather than dramatic. Their relationship grows through honesty, not a sudden promise that all promise all the soul. At the public situations, Hakan will use the always end connection to reduce the charges. Against him, the gun was legally registered, nobody was shot, and he will calm the weapon fear during Sapnam's attempt to take it. The hidden surveillance rooms in one private property, and Hakan will say the photographs were collected for security after threat against the family. He will be released while the investigation continues. Reporters will wait outside instead of public statement. He will say Alask has manipulated his children, stores private material, and created a false brother story via gain money and attentions. He will announce that the Akaya Foundation is requesting a formal investigation into Ara's action at the villa and the old cinema. Hakan's no public doubt can be more useful than legal victory. The statement will spread quickly. Some people will spread Aras after seeing Toyman attack him at the fashion event. Others will ask why Aras entered a hidden room and took family project. Online account will share edits clip showing him arguing with Hakan. The school administration will call an emergency disciplinary meeting because the Akaya family funds the school. Several officials will want a suspect until the investigation and the children home directed will support Aras and say he has a right to search for his family, but the board will focus on reputation. Hakan's plan is clear. If he cannot control Aras privately, he will insulate him publicly. Arask will want to ignore the school meeting and continue searching for Dr. Salim Lala and disagree. She will say living without defining himself will allow Hakan. Story B become accepting trust. Hakan will not understand why school matters and someone is trying to kill them. Aras will explain that Hakan power comes from controlling ordinary institutions if they abandon every public space. Hakan wins without needing violence. Toyman offers to speak at the meeting. He is the person who attacking Aras and his statement can prove Hakan's public story is false. Lala worries Khan will punish him financially or remove him from the villa. Toyman says those threats no longer frightening him as much as living inside an other's life. The publicly meeting will take place in a large school hall. Students, teachers, lawyers, and several reporters will attend. Hakan will sit with the legal team. Sabnam will not complaining illness, but she will coach with through a private video link. Arask will still reside Mustafa and the children home director. Lala will choose the seat with Arask instead of her father. The public decisions will create a break inside the family. Dennis Merton, Silla, Barris, Ezki, and other students will wait behind them. Karam will remain hidden because the attackers may still be searching for him. The school board will because Aras of demanding the foundation's name, entering private Aras without permissions, and creating conflict among students. Arask will answer in clear, simple language. He will say Hakan invited him into the villa to repair a scandal rescued by Toyman violence. Lala gave him permission to enter the upstairs corridors. The hidden room contained years of photographs taken without his knowledge. He removed few objects because he believed they were connected to his missing brothers and feared Hakan would destroy them. He admitted that taking them he has no legally clean, but he refuses to call it Thames. While Hakan refuses to explain why he had secretly watching a child for years, Hakan layers will determine the demand proof from the surveillance room. Hakan has already cleared and replaced the wheel behind the portrait. Metin anticipated that this saved part of the security feed before leaving the villa. He gave the recording to the board. The video show Khan operating the hidden door and Toyman breaking and the lock of to release and ask Lala. It does not show every object inside, but it proves the room exists. Hakan will execute Martin to hacking private system merit accept responsibility and say he will know and answers any legal question. He adds that the recording also proves Khan's freely claimed Aras entered alone. Toyman will stand Khan will quietly warn him not to speak. But Toyman continue. He admit attack Aras at the fashion event. He says Arask did not begin to violence. Toyman was angry, jealous and influenced by family pressure. He has also admitted using Danny's private letter to force her into a meeting. The hall become a silence. Dennis did not expect him to relieve this publicly. Toyman say he is not making the confessions to appears good. He is making it because his father's definitely depends on the threatening every person around Arask as manipulated. Toyman says Arask did not force him to open the hidden room. He did it because he was trying to begin treated like a child who could know not his own past. The confession will demand Khan's strategy. It also plays Toyman is serious troubles. The board may push him for violence and blackmail. Toyman say he will accept the consequence. Dennis watch him with mixed feeling. She will still hurt and she sees that he is finally choosing responsibility even when it does not cost. Khan lose control and tell the board that Toyman emotionally unstable because Arask has filled his dead with false ideas. Toyman asks whether wanting a legal DNA test is a false idea. He announced that he asked and others impossible several with submit stamps to an independent liberty. Hakan face revealed the fear before he can hide it. The school board will prosecute and decisions Erard will remain control for now for both and Toyman will be placed under review. The result is not fully victory yet. Hakan failed to remove Arad immediately outside the hall. Students gathered around Toyman. Some praise him, others call him dangerous. He ignored them. Daniel approached and say he should have warned her before and shares letter story publicly. Toyman apologized. He believed taking full responsibility requires naming the but he should have protected her privacy. Dennis tells him that honesty without can still hurt pupils. Toyman accept the Christmas he can what he can do now. Dennis say he can stop taking and the simple listens he does. The DNA samples will be collected that evening at Sam's temporary laboratory. Arask, Toyman and Sarah will each provide two samples. One staff will go to university laboratory by Curious and other will be carried personally by Lala and Dennis to a separate ship can be used. Finally, Martin approached Arask with Nure memory card. He has found no one hidden inside. The payment record the person received money on the same date. Khan moved the children. After the accident, Arask reads the name and become pale. The audience does not see it before he can explain the hidden phone. One at a final time, Aras answers. A young man voice says, "Stop calling toy man, young brothers. Demon is speaking to you now." Aras looked at Toyman who heard the voice through the speaker. The caller continues saying he has watched Aras searching for years but stayed away because Arask was never told the real reasons their parents died. He gives Arask a location and tells him to come alone before sunset. Then he says the private world for childhood recording inside the red board. Under my brother's coat, the call and Lala will search Dr. Salim Nin discover and public discovery remove all newspaper pages mention a learning center that use music, photographs, smell and repeated stories to help children recover memories after trauma. At first, the treatment was praised. Later, expert questions whether the method recovered memories to or created new ones. The center closed before any formal investigation reached court. One old photograph shows Salem standing beside Shabnam as at a foundation event. A younger Mustafa appears in the background. Near the rescue vehicles, Lala will realize the adults around them have been connected for longer than anyone admitted. She will also find an address link so Salem's wife but the property is empty. A neighbor says Salim died about a year ago. Martin doubts this because Hakan payment continue. The death may be another false record. The meeting at the cinema will happen late in the afternoon. Arask will enter through the main gate and make past row of broken seats covered in the dust. The old screen will move in the wind, producing a low sound like distant thunder. He will place the happens hidden move seat and wait. At exactly 6, the cinema speakers will suddenly turn on. A young man's voice will tell him to stand in the center and raise both hands. Arask will obey while secretly checking the hill where Medellin is hidden. The callers will say that Arask broke the rule by brightening people. Arask will answer that our real brothers who would understand why he has no longer trust strangers. The voice will laugh sadly, and the Arask will always the careful one only after dangers arrived. Before Arask can ask how he knows that a figure will appear behind the torn screen. The strangers will be close to Arask's age, perhaps 1 or 2 years older. He will wear simple clothes and carry no visible weapon. His face will not look exactly like Arask, but there will be small similarities around the eyes and mouth. Arask will find a shock that he cannot explain. The strangers will introduce himself as Karam. He will say that the name was given to after the incident, but the remembers and others' names spoken before it. Arask will ask him to say that name. Karam will refuses. He will accuse Arask of turning Damar into a prize that every unhappy boy can calm. Arask will reply that he can spend years searching because he believes his brother was alone. Karam will say Daram was never alone. He was washed, trained, moved, and warmed that Arask has died. When he later discovered Arask was alive, he was told that approaching him would place them both in danger. Toyman will listen from behind the walls. Karam will suddenly turn toward his hidden place and call him by name. He knew him by name. He knows Toyman Karim's Akaya's son should stop moving like a thief and show himself. Toyman steps into the open. The two young men each one's others. Karam shows one surprise. He tells Toyman that Hakan used him as a shield for years. Toyman responds that Hakan also paid for Karam's life, so neither of them should pretend to the free. Karam smiles and says Toyman finally sounds less like Hakan. The comments angers him. Ira stands between them and asks Karam for proof. Karam removed a thin chain from under his shirt, a whole half of a small metal sun arras reaches inside his own shirt and show the matching half he has carried since childhood. This mother gave one half to each and other. When the pieces are placed together, they form a complete shape. Rask will be deeply affected, but Toyman will remain caution. He will ask where's Karam found the necklace. Karam say it was a sound him neck when he woke. After the accident, Toyman points out that any adults could have moved it from child to another. Karam agrees. He says that he proved connections but no identity. He did not call Aras to demand recognized. He called because Dr. Salim has entered, returns to boredom and plans to destroy the last treatment recorders. Karam has followed him for weeks. He needs Arask because Salim will not need him, but the doctors may come out of holding if he believes. Arask has the voice recorder for Sabnam Box. Karam wants to use the recorders as bait. Martin will leaves his hiding place after seeing that Karam is not alone. Two people are watching from the projections room. He quietly reaches the backstairs and discovers that they do not armed guard but a young woman and old orders man. The woman is filming the meeting. The man is holding medical equipment. Matten confirmed then and the woman claimed they are helping Karam. Her name is Alaf and she grew up in the same treatment center. She remembered Dr. Salim using stories from one child during sessions with another. The old man is returned laboratory worker's name Sams. He helped Karam obtain a private DNA result, but the result was incomplete because they had no verified sample from Araz. Sam says Karam genetic